I know where I'm going. I just don't really mind how I get there. This episode was supposed to kick off the story of Dwight Gooden's appearance in the 1984 All-Star Game. Was and is the youngest player ever to play in an All-Star Game, but along the way, a couple things got my attention, went in some different directions. The story of Dr. K will have to wait until next time. I was fortunate to be a guest recently on Sports Card Nation with John Newman. We just had a good old time, just talking cards and life, and just consider him a new friend. I really had a good time. The first of the two-parters aired last Friday, and part two is available this Friday, November the 10th. And John asked me about my approach to creating. I don't even like the word content. I don't like content. I don't like consumption. I prefer storytelling. So John asked me about the way I did my thing. And like I said, I know where I'm going. I just don't mind how I get there. So if you're the kind of person who is a top five cars to be buying right now or outraged over the latest scandal, this is probably not the right content for you to consume and then eliminate because I'm trying to tell a story. I'm trying to create something that's evergreen. You're not tuning in to find out who won the 1984 All-Star game. You're here because you like to go for a ride, like to get in the car on a cold evening and maybe late November. Crank up the heat, roll down the windows, turn up the music, and just go for a ride. If you're that kind of person, you have come to the right place. Welcome to the Rated Rabbi Sports Card Podcast, where sports cards and pop culture meet the 1984 All-Star Game. I am your host, Rabbi David Spinrad. Welcome to episode 44. Claudell Washington. Smooth brother. Oh man, like I said, top of the fifth, good and on the hill. Thought we were going there, but instead we are here. Claudell Washington taking over for the National League for Darryl Strawberry. Washington slides into left with Gwynn, who had started in left field, sliding over to play right as Strawberry sits down. I want to show you a picture right out of the gate. Claudell Washington looking up past the brim of the stadium. If you're listening on a podcast, it's a screen grab from the ABC broadcast July 10th, 1984. Claudell looking up into the sun. I took this screen grab just after he took his little flip up sunglasses and flipped them down. Right? Remember flip up or flip down, whatever you call them, sunglasses? Amazing, right? You'd have them up, and then when there was action, you'd flip them down to keep the sun out of your eyes. I'm going to show you a picture of Ricky Henderson's flip up sunglasses. These were sold in an auction through Heritage in 2017, $780. These are from the 1980s. It actually looked like the same style that Claudell's wearing in the 84 All-Star game. Let's go back to that picture. Claudell in the Braves white Sansa belt, baseball pants, got his eyes up looking towards the sun, flip up shades, flip down back to the game worn pair of Rickies. This, by the way, is the kind of memorabilia I would collect if I was kind of Brewster's Millions rich. I would wear sunglasses that I would wear flip up sunglasses that Ricky Henderson wore in a game. I would absolutely be that kind of guy. I would be weird with my money. And I'd insist if we hung out that you be weird too. Oh my gosh. Flip up sunglasses were cool. You know what flip up sunglasses, what made them so cool? There was action. There was a thing you had to do, right? Flip up sunglasses. They were up, flipped them down to block the sun. Didn't need any more. Flip them back up. There was a hand thing. You could even see Claudell's hand is right up there by the shades. Okay. I have a poll. Which are cooler? Flip up sunglasses. Let me show you another picture of flip up sunglasses as you mull the coolness of them. 1976, Pete Rose, perhaps the greatest wearing of flip up sunglasses on a baseball card. Close up, extreme close up of him. Looks like he's in the Reds dugout. He's got his elbows propped up on the rail, looking towards the camera, but not at the camera. Flip up sunglasses on his head, flipped up, Reds hat atop his head. I love this car. This car has a ton of problems with like ink splotches all over it. I used to own it in a PSA, got in a PSA 7. I had a PSA 8 and I sold it. That's what it was. Love this card. Miss this card. 1976 Pete Rose in a PSA 9 is very expensive. I think it's a $500 card. Don't need it in a 9. Had it in an 8. Awesome card. Phenomenal card. Also, exactly the kind of good card that you have to sacrifice if you want to have a great collection, like I want to have a great collection of essential baseball cards. There's no room for 1976 Pete Rose unless on a real low end centered one raw, something under $10. That might be fun, but otherwise it's not the kind of card I can own anymore, not where I am as a collector. All right. So I asked you, we're going to take a little poll, a little survey. Which are the cooler of eyewear? Is it number one, the flip up sunglasses as seen by Claudell Washington, as seen by Ricky Henderson, as seen by that 76 Topps Pete Rose? Or are they goggles? Not flip ups, but goggles. Most famous baseball player, most famous goggle baseball player. There have been many, but I'm going to go with Cincinnati Red. Chris Sabo, 1988 NL Rookie of the Year, two-time All-Star, 1990 and 91, one-time World Series. Remember that 1990 Reds team, Lou Piniella at the helm? Man, they kind of curb stomped the A's that year in the World Series. So is Chris Sabo, is he the greatest goggle wearer? Baseball edition? Perhaps. But who is the greatest of all time goggle wearer? You know who that is, right? Number 33, the big fella, the captain. Don't call me Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. For those listening in, I've got a picture of Kareem late in his Bucks tenure. He's wearing goggles, but they're super early goggles. And if you look at him, you can find this picture. It's all over the internet. He looks like he's wearing like ski goggles. They're massive. They're way bigger than his eyes. Ski goggles or aviator goggles. They're ridiculous. Kareem started wearing them because of his height. Everyone was trying to block his shot. They were shorter than he was. He kept getting scratched in the cornea. So he started wearing the eye protection. Similar reason why Hakeem, the Dream, used to wear the same thing. So I want to show you the early goggles, and then I want to show you probably the ones you recognize the most. Kareem most frequently wore a pair of goggles by a manufacturer named Hersloff, Herslof. I have a picture up on the screen. They're the clear goggles. They are frameless, right? They're kind of like fly, like that one tour where Bono wore those sunglasses, kind of that ovally shape. You know exactly those cream goggles or the cream on the Lakers goggles. The ones I'm showing here on the screen were game worn during the 1980 season by Kareem as a member of the Lakers. Of course, they sold on Golden for quite a bit more, low 10 figures, because they're more iconic, I think, than Ricky Henderson flip ups. Okay, here is our survey. Number one was the flip up sunglass as the coolest item of athletic eyewear. Number two, goggles, whether worn by Kareem, Sabo, Hakeem, whoever, are goggles the coolest pair of eyewear? Or C, are rec specs the coolest form of eyewear? What are rec specs, you ask? Well, rec specs, a little bit lesser known than the goggles. I'm going to bring up a little picture for you so you can see. One moment, please. Dun, 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 dun. To me, they're the most famously worn by this guy. Rams, later Colts for a moment, Raider for a second, Falcon running back Eric Dickerson, wearer of the rec specs. And when was the last time you gave Eric Dickerson love? He was absolutely a beast in the 1980s. As the sun was setting on sweetness, Dickerson took over as the premier running back in the 1980s. Do you remember that enormous trade when Dickerson got traded from the Rams to the Colts? Epic, epic, epic. I want to show you 3 Eric Dickerson cards, and then we'll get back to our poll survey, which are the coolest forms of athletic eyewear, flip ups, goggles, or erect specs. First card I want to show you, 1983 record breaker. Close up on the screen. Dickerson running against the Niners. Looks like a home game down there in Anaheim. Back of the card. I don't know a ton of numbers by heart in football. It's super, super different from baseball, right? But one record, what I've always remembered, is Dickerson in 1983 rookie season ran for 1,808 yards, 1,808 yards. Eric Dickerson, the all-time rookie rushing mark, a record that still stands today, a record that still stood even before the running back began to be phased out from the modern NFL game. Look at him. If you could watch it on the YouTube, look at those enormous shoulder pads Dickerson's wearing. He's got elbow pads and wristbands and gloves. Man, like a warrior. He was a good running back. Niners had his number, though. All right, you remember that one, 1,808, while wearing the rec specs in 83. Dickerson ran for 1984. Dickerson coming back. He tops 1,808. He blows 1,808 right out of the water. Here is from the 1985 set. Talking about Eric Dickerson in 1984, ran for 2,105 yards, 2,105 yards in his second season in the NFL. When was the last time you gave Eric Dickerson love? Man, a forgotten star. Dickerson's rushing record, 1985 to 1884, still stands today. Nobody has broken 2,105 yards, and we are coming up on 40 years this record's stood. Both of them, as a matter of fact. 2012, Adrian Peterson comes real close. He goes for, I think, 2,097. He falls 8 yards short in 2012. Got one more Dickerson card, 1986. Of course, the distinct green border. You love it or you hate it, but you always know what year it is. Eric Dickerson on the sidelines. Wanted to show you this card because there's just so much going here. Look at how enormous, gargantuan Dickerson's shoulder pads are. Oh man, they're huge. Elbow pads, gloves, and of course, the clear erect specs. On the shoulder, Dickerson's got a cool patch. Gonna bring that in close on his left shoulder, the right side of the card for you. It's got the 40th year anniversary of the Rams franchise. I think that's pretty darn cool. Dickerson in 85 rushed for 1,234 yards. Quite a drop off. Still a beast. So which one is it? Is it Claudell Washington, Ricky Henderson, Pete Rose and flip up sunglasses? Is it Kareem and the goggles? Or is it Eric Dickerson and the rec specs? Leave me a comment. Let me know. Tell me if you are a flip up sunglass, if you are a goggle, or if you are into the rec specs. Can make an argument for all three. But on that July day in left field, checking out the sun, playing with his flip ups. It was Claudell Washington's moment literally in the sun, born in Los Angeles, but really raised in Berkeley, California. Never played high school baseball because the coach in a junior pony league made him pitch in 5 straight games. And Claudell said, to heck with this. Wasn't even playing high school baseball. Didn't play, as a matter of fact. Played no high school baseball, just messing around in the sandlots. A cop in Oakland. I'm sorry, a cop in Berkeley named Jim Gwynn also did some scouting work. Saw Claudell and signed him on behalf of the Oakland A's in 1972. 4 years later, this same Oakland cop slash part-time scout Jim Gwynn also scouted and signed a Ricky Henderson. Like, I think I could have spotted Ricky Henderson. Come on, man. Oakland Tech represent. Oh, so what can I tell you about Claudell Washington other than he was a Bay Area guy all his life? Well, Claudell played 17 seasons in the bigs for 7 teams. Most notably broke in with the A's, but also played for the Atlanta Braves and New York Yankees, among others, 2 stints with the Yanks. For his career, 20 WAR, real solid. A little bit of power, 164 home runs, 824 runs batted in. Definitely had some speed, stole 312 bases in his career, including 40 in his first full season, 1975. For his career, Claudell Washington, 200, 278 lifetime average, 325 on base percentage. Called up in 1974, age 19. Man, just a kid. Called up from Double-A Birmingham at the time. Said to his teammates, they let me play 5 games in the first 10. I'm up there. I am never going to come back. Send me my stuff. And Claudell was right. Wins a World Series in that rookie stint in 74 with the A's. 1975. First full season, breaks out 19th in the American League MVP voting. Hits 308, steals 40 bases, second in the league, an all-star at the tender age of 20. Claudell Washington. Smooth brother. There's just something about the way he moved, the way he played the game, kind of just cool and languid. Even as his body filled out, his game stayed smooth. He was real thin when he was young, and then by the time he's in the Yankees, he's more of a man. But I always liked his game, and I always loved his name. There's something about Claudell Washington, the 5 syllables, Claudell Washington. Showing the people at home right now. Going to show you a little 1978 tops. This is when Claudell was a Texas Ranger. Young he is there. Young Claudell Washington. Where is this taken? It's taken at the Oakland Coliseum. If you're a collector and you know cards in not just the 70s, but in the 60s as well, but huge in the 70s, take a look at how many cards in the 1970s, how many photos are taken either at the Oakland Coliseum or at Candlestick Park. The vast majority, it seems like, are taken in these 2 ballparks. So many cards. I don't mean just Giants and A's. I mean like the 73 Pete Rose where he's popping it up. Like so many cards are taken at Candlestick and the Oakland Coliseum. Claudell Washington. There's a quote from Joe Morgan I found that I don't know. I'm not going to read it because it's a weird quote, but I just kind of like a quote that Joe Morgan is black. The way he says, he can say whatever he wants. But if a white guy would say this quote, I don't know. It might be a little racist. All right, so watch. Joe Morgan says a quote about Claudell Washington. He goes, he was like most of the African American players in his time frame. Hall of Famer Joe Morgan said, they could hit, they could run, they could throw, they could play the outfield. just real neutral, right? He was like most of the African American top. He was like most of the African American players in his time frame. They could hit, they could run, they could throw, they could play the outfield. It's neutral, but I wonder if it's neutral because Joe Morgan's black. Because like, what if it's like Al Campanis, right? Remember him? Super racist guy in the front office for the Dodgers lost his job, right? What if it's Al Campanis going about Claudell Washington? He was like most of the African American players in his time frame. They could hit, they could run, they could throw, they could play the outfield. I don't know. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Maybe it's not there at all. I don't know. What else can I tell you about smooth brother Claudell Washington? He's the only player to this day to have 3 home run games in both the National League and the American League. Hit 3 for Texas, July 1979. Hit 3 for the Mets, August 1980. What else can I tell you? 1988, April 1988, Claudell Washington hit the 10,000th home run in New York Yankee history. Hit it off Jeff Reardon, top of the ninth at Minnesota. What else can I tell you about Claudell Washington? He was a part of the only outfield in Major League history where the left fielder, the center fielder, and the right fielder all hit 300 or better. Claudell hit 308, 1988 New York Yankees. Ricky Henderson hit 300 plus in center, and Dave Winfield hit 300 plus in right. What else can I tell you? I'll tell you this. Claudell Washington hit the foul ball caught by Ferris Bueller in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Mind blown. Pause on that while we take a look at a 1984 Topps offering of Claudell Washington. There it is on your screen, finishing the swing. That great sky blue Braves uniform, portrait in the bottom corner. Claudell, fresh out of rehab, 1983. Claudell did a little time in rehab for a little cocaine addiction. This seems to be a theme on the Rated Rabbi Sports Card podcast, where sports cards and pop culture meet the 1984 All-Star Game and cocaine. Claudell was also one of those players who was busted in the 85 Pittsburgh drug trials. He was convicted, later gets his sentence commuted for donating a portion of his salary. I believe it was 5%, as well as doing, I think, 30 hours of community service. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about, oh my God, your mind is blown. Claudell Washington hit the foul ball caught by Ferris Bueller in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What you say? Look it up. It's a great article. Baseball Prospectus. I didn't do the research. Someone did it for me. I'm bringing it to you. Remember the scene? They've just had a delightful lunch at a Tony Chicago bistro as Ferris steals the reservation of Abe Froman, the sausage king of Chicago. You're Abe Froman, the sausage king of Chicago. Yes, I am. Oh, they head out to Wrigley. Prospectus did the work for us. They ran it down, all the possible plays, all the possible teams and dates where Ferris, Cameron, and the delightful Simone could have been at a. Is that her name? Simone? I think Simone. Could have been at a ball game. And how do we know? There's a long scene. Remember, Principal Rooney is chasing after them. He's in the pizza place. He gets the soda thrown on him. Remember that? He's like wiping off the soda. It's that he thinks that girl at the whatever. What's the video game? Wait, what's she playing? I can't remember. right, is Ferris, and she drops the soda on him, and he's at the counter wiping it off, and he says, she says, "What's the score?" And the person says, "Nothing, nothing." And he says, "Who's winning?" Remember that? So the game that Ferris and friends are at is actually not a nothing, nothing game. It's 2-2. And if you remember the actual scene at the pizza place, there's a bunch of footage on a TV, and you can hear the announcers. It's Harry Carey describing the action. And it turns out, by the powers of deduction, it was the 11th inning of a 2-2 game. Claudell Washington is at the plate, foul ball caught by Ferris. How's that game end up? June 1985, Braves at Chicago. Well, top of the 11th, Rafael Ramirez, shown here in his 1984 tops. This is only all-star appearance 1984 game. He wins the game June 1985 with a 2-run home run. Braves go on to beat the hometown Cubs 4-2. Oh my God, talking about Ferris Bueller. Tell me you didn't vibe on Jennifer Grey. Come on. Remember, she was Ferris's sister, Jeannie. Super cute. Remember the scene in the police station? Charlie Sheen. Come on. It's great. It's one of the best things in it. I'm going to bring it up here just for you to see it. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. There it is in the police station, right? Young Charlie Sheen. This is still a year before Platoon comes out. Right? Young Charlie Sheen, the adorable Jennifer Grey. It's just kind of low key hitting on her, right? They end up kind of hitting it off. What do I love about Charlie Sheen? Oh my God, where do I begin? Charlie Sheen. How about the time in 1996 when Charlie and a few of his buddies bought out the entire left field bleachers at Anaheim? Anaheim was hosting the Detroit Tigers. Cecil Fielder still swinging the bat for the Tigers. Bought out an entire set of bleachers. I made a note of this. Bought 2,615 tickets, totaling $6,500. April '96 against the Tigers. Why? Because he wanted to get a foul ball and didn't want to be climbing over people to get it, he said. So again, Brewster's Millions money. I am also buying out the bleachers. I'll raise you buying out the bleachers. I'm going to wear my Ricky Henderson flip up sunglasses at a night game. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think if you're rich, you should get weird with it. What's left to say? Oh my God. Last thing I have left to say is Jennifer Grey's nose. Why did she do that? Let's bring it up. Take a look. There's Jennifer Grey sometime around Dirty Dancing, because nobody puts baby in the corner. Oh, so adorable. Look at the bump on her nose. Like, just, I don't need everyone to look the same. I want a little individuality. Just cute, like cool and cute, cute. Not like smoking hot cute, like cool cute, like the kind of girl you want to marry, like Jennifer Grey, like you knew her from Hebrew school. And then she had her nose like done, a botched operation, second operation had to be done. Picture on the right. She's not even recognizable. She just looks plain, right? There's stories of her right after having it done. It's a very recognizable name in Hollywood still, and being completely, completely invisible. No doubt, and she's admitted it, that she regrets having the procedures done, encouraged by her mother. Damn you, mom. Be some kind of like self-hating Jew. Just because you had your nose done, your husband had his nose done, why you got to make your lovely Jennifer Grey have her nose done? You killed the whole thing for the rest of us nice Jewish and non-Jewish boys and girls out there. All right, I am going to wrap this up. I can't believe we just spent a half an hour talking about smooth brother Claudell Washington. We debated flip-ups, goggles, and our specs. Let me know which you prefer. What else did we do? We debated. I don't know if it's really debate. Maybe I'm wrong, but that quote could be a little bit racist about Claudell if it didn't come from a person who was also black. Had a real fun time revealing to you. You did not know that Claudell Washington hit the foul ball caught by Ferris Bueller. And now you'll know that for the rest of your life. You're different now. I'm different now. Moment spent on Charlie Sheen, Jennifer Grey's nose. If you happen to be rich, for the rest of us, please, please, please go out there, do something wildly eccentric and irrational, and then tell us all about it. Have some fun with your money. Enjoy your life. All right. I'm on another episode of Sports Card Nation this Friday, part 2 of my time with John. It'll drop Friday. This is going to come out. Well, you're listening to it, so it's out. Until we meet again, may you be blessed and may you enjoy health and long life. So long for now.